Welcome to another Vintage Fishing Reel Service video. In this episode we have another Zebco 33. This one's the 33 Gold. And I'm thinking that this one's only going to have one ball bearing in it, which would make it the version only cataloged in 2000, in the year 2000, because in 2001 there was some design changes which included a second ball bearing, and some of the graphics are slightly different. So I think this one dates to right around 2000. It's certainly not a shelf queen. A lot of the gold colored plating has come off the ridge grip on the nose cone, and there's some other little scratches and marks in it, and but that's fine, because I don't collect shelf queens. If I get them, that's fine. But I like to fish with them, so I don't collect boxes and things. I don't want to be that guy that ruins some of that stuff. I'll leave that to the people that collect for the shelf. But this isn't the correct handle. It had sort of a more pro-style power handle on the original. And here's a picture of what that looks like. So let's go ahead and get into this one and see what it's all about in there. There it came. Okay. And the line brake's in good shape. To remove the spinner head, hold on to the handle and unscrew it counterclockwise. And then, well, make sure your drag's all the way off, and it is. And that'll make the E-clip easier to take off. And then I can take off this plastic cap that also acts as a drag washer. And we should have a Teflon and a keyed metal washer here. And we do. Now let's get that nasty line off of there. There. Yet another reel that still had factory line on it. You can tell by how it was attached to the spool. And then we've got a pressure plate, which has a little bit of corrosion, but not bad. There's our drag clicker. Go ahead and take off the handle. And I don't see a I don't know if it had one or not, but it might have a shim washer there. And then try to get this rear cover off. Put a towel on it to protect it, and try to turn it with the pliers. And there it came. And then I should be able to pull that off at this point. Looks pretty clean on the rear cover. And it looks like factory grease inside. I don't think anybody's been into this one. So make sure that the bait clicker is completely off here. And then we got to pull out this clip, this nylon clip. And when that goes back in, that little shelf right there faces towards the handle, and then it slides down into a notch or a groove in the bushing. And so we could pull the pinion gear out. I don't see a ton of wear there, so that looks good. And to get the main gear out, you're going to have to get this bushing out. So these can get kind of sticky in there. Try to push it out the best you can, and then maybe grab onto this end with some pliers and kind of twist and pull, and out it comes. And of course, when you go to put that back in, that groove goes towards the inside, and that's what that clip fits into. Okay, so we can pull out the main gear now, and here's your little arm or lever that runs your anti-reverse. So when that goes back in, that lever has to fit in that little squarish notch right there. No real need to take this out. That can be cleaned and so on without taking out the anti-reverse pawl. So then we can take out the drag wheel and drag screw, and these are reverse threaded, so you're gonna hold on to the wheel and turn it clockwise to unscrew it. And they wouldn't have to take that out, but it's kind of nice to clean that and lubricate that so it works smoothly. Now there's going to be a spring right here that's got a little bend in it, and when you get this back in there, you want to make sure that little bend on that spring engages with these cogs on the inside of that drag wheel. That's what makes the clicking sound to let you know you're turning your drag wheel. It's not the same as a drag clicker when the drag is being engaged, but it just lets you know that you're turning the wheel, I guess. But when you put that in there, it can kind of get tied up on there. You just kind of got to push it down until it engages with those inner cogs there. So that's all there is to it. This is ready to take to the sink and be thoroughly cleaned. And by the way, yeah, I only see the one bearing there, right there on the main gear, or on the axle shaft. So I think that makes this a one-year wonder, at least in terms of the number of years it was cataloged. So catalog year 2000. So I'm going to take this to the sink and hit that grease with WD-40, and then scrub and rinse everything off with Dawn dishwashing soap, getting cotton swab soaked in WD-40 into the journals and inside this bushing and that kind of thing, and I'll be back just like that. Alright, let's get all the parts out so you can see what all's here. Of course, that handle isn't the correct one for this particular reel, but it works. All right. First thing I'm going to do is get out some steel wool and clean off this main gear shaft a little bit, and then work on this pressure plate a little bit here. And pinion gear shaft looks pretty good, but while I'm here, just give that a quick polish, and then we're ready for reassembly, beginning with the main gear and a little bit of fishing reel oil on the cogs of the anti-reverse, and then the teeth of the main gear. Just gonna pack the teeth with some grease, and then we're gonna oil the main gear shaft, and we have to put that in place before the bearing gets in, or the bushing gets in there. And you can sneak a little oil in the bushing too, and then some grease on that, hopefully to keep it Well, it's not going to corrode in there because it's going in plastic, but might make it a little easier to get out next time. And that just pushes in pretty easily all the way in until it's flush. You just want it in far enough that clip, that nylon clip with that little shelf, that little ridge facing towards the handle, and push that in until it seats. Oh, one thing I didn't do is I forgot to engage this little arm into the anti-reverse. So I'm going to have to pull that up. In fact, I'm going to have to pull out the bushing altogether again. And you got to get that little arm into the slot on the anti-reverse before you put the bushing in. Then we can put in our clip and test our anti-reverse. And it's working. And of course we can override that so that you don't have anti-reverse with that lever there. Now we can start lubricating the pinion gear and axle shaft. Get a little oil in there, a little oil up here. Pack the teeth. A little oil on the main shaft there. Plop that into place. That's working fine. We can get our drag wheel back into place, remembering to kind of keep that spring down so that it gets up underneath there and engages with those cogs. And then of course it's reverse threaded, so we're going to do a counterclockwise turn, holding the wheel, and counterclockwise turn, back that all the way in. Oh, one of the reasons I took that out of there was to lubricate it. Let's get a little oil on those threads. Back that all the way down, and then later you'll have to make sure the screw head is lined up with the tab on that pressure plate, but you can see that the little clicker is engaged properly there. Alright, I think we're ready to button up the rear end of the reel. So there's a little punch out here and some grooves there. Put that, now we can grease the thumb button there where it engages the axle shaft. Just line those grooves up, and then you're going to make a clockwise turn. You may have to use a pair of pliers and a towel and just gently, they click into place pretty tightly. Okay, so now we can install the pressure plate, which I'm going to grease up mainly as an anti-corrosion mechanism. And it don't matter which way this goes, as long as the tabs are facing down, and one tab goes into that drag screw and the other one falls into this little hole over here. And then we're ready for our metal drag washer that's keyed, and there are going to be 6 slots in there and 3 little ears on that, so just make sure that those ears get in a slot, won't go in any other way. And then our Teflon drag washer. Probably should have, because when the drag is engaged, the spool will spin around this spindle, so some grease in there is warranted. And then on top here, where this little ramp that operates the pickup pin. So then we can put our spool on with the ridge side down, because that's what your drag clicker is running on. And you can hear the drag clicker. And then we've got this plastic cap slash drag washer, and then our E-clip. At this point we can lubricate the pickup pin, some oil where that arm rides on the metal and some on the pivot point there. Work that in, and probably good to put the handle on at this point, because you're going to need to hold the handle to tighten that spinner head on there. Again, this May, I know the last 33 I worked on that was 98 to 2000 had a shim washer between the body and the handle. This one doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, there's a little bit of clearance there, but you know, I don't know. I don't know if there was one there on this one or not. I wouldn't be surprised if there was. So now you can hold on to the handle, screw that on in a clockwise manner. You don't have to get it really tight. Put a little, I've already rinsed these out with WD-40 to get some of the gunk out of there. Put a couple drops into the handle knobs. Work that in. It's slinging dirt and stuff from in there. You can see it's all gunk in there, and it helps clean that out and get it lubricated. And then we're ready for our cap. So there's a drain hole that always goes towards the bottom of the reel. Find your punch out and your little grooves there. Press it on and then turn it clockwise till it clicks into place. And that's all there is to it. Very simple, but very good quality, highly durable, made in the by God US of A Spincast reels. And that thing runs like a top now. So there you have the Zebco 33 Gold. And this particular one, I think, was cataloged only in the year 2000. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.